before we begin, I just want to do some introductions and let some people talk. This is Brandan Davies. He's a local attorney, defense attorney, and he's going to be speaking about some of the consequences of defending yourself on the criminal side of things. And then back there in the back is Abby. She's with the Bullet Hole. She's in charge of their marketing and in charge of, getting the word out about the Bullet Hole and whatnot. So kind of the agenda for tonight is I'm going to talk about what it means to be a member of the United States Concealed Carry Association and the benefits that come with that. And then Brandon's going to talk about, like I said, the ramifications if you were to defend yourself, what the legal aspect of that is, and then we'll open it up to a question and answer session. So if everybody's good with that, we'll go ahead and begin. Okay. Did you want to talk about training first?
Sure, yeah. Hey, I just want to tell everyone thank you for coming out tonight. Everybody got out this week. It was kind of hard to get out last week, right? This is a little bit better, nicer weather today. Yeah, my name is Abby, and I'm in charge of the training and scheduling here. And just how many of you have taken any classes with us at the Bullet Hole before? Okay, awesome. That's great. And did we introduce Brian Holmes right here? Brian Holmes, this is our instructor, and he does a lot of our courses. And he does a CCW course on Saturdays. We actually have one coming up this Saturday, and I've seen a lot of CCW courses. And he's an excellent instructor, and it's a long class, and he'll definitely keep you entertained and learning the whole time. So it's always a good experience. I just passed out around just some of our classes that we have going on. Another thing to make note of for the 3 women in here is, of course, next Saturday on the 19th, we do this about once a quarter. We have our women's course. It's from 9 to 1 o'clock, and it's a lot about situational awareness and that victim versus predator mentality. Brian teaches it. It's an amazing experience. So if you have wives or daughters or anything, I got my nieces in it. Every woman I know, I want to take it because it's how we need to think when we're out there. It's more than just the handgun. But by the time they leave, we've had people come in terrified of guns. By the time they leave, they're on the range shooting comfortably, and then they kind of form a community where they come back up here on Wednesday nights where ladies shoot free and they start getting more acquainted with guns. So I'm really passionate about that because I started at 0 and got here, and then I'm really appreciative of this class that we have going on tonight. We learn a lot in the CCW class about the legalities of things, and so many people never think about that, right? They just carry, and they don't think about it. And so I'm really excited to be here tonight. Thank you so much for arranging this. And real quick, because he likes to hide, I just want to point out Jim Anderson. He is the owner here at the Bullet Hole. And how many of you guys have seen a little transition in this place going on? Yeah, so he's wonderful. Jim, do you want to say anything before we?
Well, we appreciate each and one of you guys coming out, and we appreciate if you're doing business here. We appreciate it a lot, and we look forward to just keep coming back. We've got more things that are continuing to happen around here, and we want to grow with the community and kind of make this a place for the community to be able to come and participate in the shooting sports and education and things like that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And doesn't it look great? I mean, if you've seen the remodeling, it looks awesome. So here's your list of courses. You can get online to book them anytime. And then I just we're going to be doing some giveaways tonight. We're going to do some questions and answers. And just kind of to cover some of our favorite products, the Bullet Hole, we now have our own brand of coffee that we partnered with the roastery. Some of you, is it good, right? Yes, I love it. A couple different things. And then whatever I love, I just like, can we do this? And I was at, how many of you have been to Bull Creek Distillery? It's awesome, out in Spring Hill. If you like meat, head out there. But they had a big barbecue kickoff, and I tried it and I was like, wow. And there's a woman, her name is Megan Day. She's local in Kansas City, and she has won some of the barbecue contests. And so we picked up their barbecue line. So if you guys are ever, if you're into barbecue, this is amazing. We carry it. We mostly go through it every Tuesday. So we'd like to also maybe sell some. And then we've got mugs, and we've got some swag, some book bags that we're going to give away tonight. So just keep your ears open, and you'll get rewarded for being a good student tonight. All right, thank you.
Okay, I will, like I said, I'll start with what it means to be a member of the United States Concealed Carry Association. So to start, how many of you heard of the USCCA? Good. How many members do we have in here?
2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, awesome. Well, for those who haven't heard of the USCCA, they are a nationwide organization of over 630,000 members, and it is their purpose to make their members responsibly armed Americans and to be the protector of those they love. After all, that's probably why most of you are here, because you probably wanted to be the protector or are the protector of those you love, and you have to know the tools and the resources to do that. And so what they do to make their members prepared is they provide, they want their members to be more mentally, physically, and legally prepared for acts of self-defense. Those 3 pillars is what they stand for. And so I'm going to talk real quick about what it means to be mentally prepared. And that's all about gathering knowledge. That's about knowing where you can carry, where you can't carry, what the laws are in the state, what reciprocity is, everything you need to know to be mentally prepared to make that decision. And how does the USCCA do that? Well, when you become a member, you get access to an online training platform called the Protector Academy. I'm going to show you what that looks like. And what it is it's full of all kinds of life-saving videos, guides, e-learnings, everything you need to know to be in the self-defense spaces or the concealed carry space. They have everything that you need to know, again, to be in that space. And it starts with lessons about how does a firearm work, to how do you clean it, how do you store it, how do you talk to your kids about it, how to come up with the home defense plan, how to carry outside in the public, different scenario-based training where you got to make split decisions, and Ask an Attorney network type of videos as well, tourniquet training, first aid training, all that stuff, all the way up to advanced AR-15 and red dot training and stuff like that. So if you spent 8 hours a day going through this, it would take you months to get through it. So that's all about gathering knowledge, mental preparation. Second part is physical preparation. And I like to say it like this: there's a huge difference if you were to go out on the range, get a paper target, shoot at it, versus self-defense situation. Most self-defense situations take 1.5 seconds for you to react. And so, how many of you guys played a instrument or a sport in school? Right. It's the same thing with self-defense. You have to train. I mean, when I played football or baseball in school, you practice way more than you ever play the game, and it's no different with self-defense. You have to be able to know. And so what the Protector Academy has, they have an online training that you could earn different qualifications at home. And what you do is they have, they're chunk, bite-sized, 5 to 10 minutes, that you go through the training, you take a quiz at the end, and you go through that series of training. And then when you get to the end, it's going to prompt you to come back to somebody like Brian and demonstrate your skills. And when you demonstrate them properly, he'll sign off on them, and the USCCA will note it in the Protector Academy and also send you a patch when you've done it. And so basically, you're building a resume of training, which is what you're going to need if you're ever involved in a situation and you find yourself maybe in some legal trouble, either criminal or civil. And so you're going to need that, because it's going to, and a defense attorney is going to need to show the jury or the judge that you're a responsibly armed person. Because in Missouri and in Kansas, You could buy a firearm, you put it in a holster, or stick it in your pants, and you're completely legal. You need zero training in these 2 states. And like I said, the purpose of the USCCA is to be responsibly armed. Okay, so that's mental preparation and physical preparation. The last pillar, first of all, those are the 2 that are going to save your life. Those things will save your life. The last one I'm going to talk about is legal preparation. Now, you could be great trained, you could do everything right in a situation, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily off the hook if you want to defend yourself in a situation. So as a member of the USCCA, you become an insured under the self-defense liability policy issued to the organization, which means you'll have help in criminal court and civil court for a covered incident. Now, what does that mean? As of November of last year, right before Christmas, the USCCA just raised their limits. You now have no cap, unlimited funds to hire an attorney for criminal and civil court. Now, I would hope that most of you know that you could be completely justified, meaning in a self-defense situation where an attorney or a prosecutor, a district attorney or a prosecutor decides, yes, your act was completely justifiable, we're not going to press charges over you. But that doesn't mean a family or somebody might sue you. And that could get very costly. So, again, you have unlimited funds to hire a defense attorney should you get charged with a crime, or hire an attorney to take your case in civil court if you get sued. You could either fight it or you could settle it. What you also get as a member, you get $2 million every calendar year should you be sued civilly and get a judgment against you. You can use that $2 million funds to pay that judgment or to settle the case. You also get $100,000 to get yourself out of jail. I've talked to attorneys, I've talked to Brandon. They need you out of jail to properly defend you. And so in the bail bond world, it's always 10%. So that covers up to $1 million bond, should you be charged with a crime. You also get $10,000 for incidental expenses. So let's say you're involved in a crime. Let me give you a little background on this. Prior to joining Delta Defense, I spent just shy of 20 years with the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. I served in patrol for almost 10 years, was a sergeant for half of that, and then did some the Police Athletic League and Mentorship Program, and then served in our Property and Evidence Unit. And I'm one of those who decided to get out of law enforcement. So if my last stint was in Property and Evidence, so if you're ever involved in an incident where you seriously hurt somebody or kill them, you're probably never going to see your firearm again. And that's pretty much due to the statute of limitations, because you could commit justifiable homicide, but evidence can come up later on down, and there's no statute of limitations on homicides, so they'll keep your gun indefinitely. So that part of that $10,000 is you can use to replace your firearm. You also, if you're ever involved in an incident, and I've seen way too much in my life, but there could be a crime scene if you were to attack somebody or defend yourself and forced to shoot, or whatever you got to do it. So that $10,000 funds can be used to hire a company to clean up that mess. So, also, every member has a membership card. And on the back of it is post-incident instructions. Now this goes back to the training and education part of things to protect yourself. Anybody heard of the Miranda warning? Yeah. Okay, so coming from law enforcement, I can tell you, now that I'm on the civilian side of things, is 100%, whatever you say and do can and will be used against you, so you've got to be careful what you say and do. And that goes from the first call you make after an incident to 911. All those cars are all recorded. When the police show up, if they have body cams, I left before Kansas City got body cams, but they have them now, you're being recorded. But before body cams, we had microphone packs that recorded everything you said. In the car, if you ever get put in a car, maybe because it's cold outside or whatever, all that's recorded. In the transport wagons, you're recorded all the time. So you really got to be careful what you say. And when you're involved in, how many have been in a car wreck? It's pretty scary, right? Shaking, adrenaline going, and it's going to be 10 times that on the worst day of your life if you ever have to defend yourself. And so with the mind, the process, the cortisol, the adrenaline, you're gonna forget things that you should omit. I mean, that you should have said, or say things that didn't happen. And so that's why, at least in Kansas City, officers that were involved in on-duty incidents where they had to use their weapon, they're given 3 days to give a statement, because you need to process all that. And so it's vital that if you start, the police show up, it's vital that you let them know that you want your attorney present. And so on the back, like I said, it's post-incident instructions. I was attacked, I was forced to defend myself, please send help. Just leave it at that. Also on the back, in this yellow spot, is the number for the critical response team. Now what that is Delta Defense, their headquarters in West Penn, Wisconsin. They have a team of crisis managers, and that team is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that should be the second call you should make after an incident. The first should be the 911, the second should be the crisis response team. And what they're going to do is they're going to walk you through what to do, what to say, what to expect. They're going to put you in touch. They're going to get a hold of your attorney and get them sent your way. Now, a lot of people I talk to, I talk in a lot of CCW classes, and a lot of students that are in those classes haven't thought that far ahead. They haven't identified an attorney. What's nice about the USCCA is they have gone out throughout the nation and they've vetted attorneys, defense attorneys. They have to be a minimum of 5 years in defense litigation, and 50% of their practice has to be devoted to that. That way, if you're ever involved in an incident, you haven't thought that far, they've already identified somebody and could get somebody like you. That's how I found Brandan. He's a part of the USCCA network attorney. And what they've done is they've agreed to be on call for the membership. So you really get a sense of what it means to be a member, because you get the training and education, the 2 pillars that save your life, and then you get the self-defense liability insurance, the access to that, to put it back together should anything go wrong. So at this point, I'm going to show you a quick video. It's less than 5 minutes of a member named Brian. He's a member of the USCCA, and I usually tell this story, but for this opportunity, I could show it to you. And it's gonna show you what happened in his case. And this is a true story, happened in 2019.
My daughter was a few feet away, and he wanted to kill me. I had to shoot. I never thought I'd get locked up and charged with murder. I've decided to tell my story because if you have a gun for self-defense, you need to hear this to avoid making a mistake that could land you in jail, or worse. Here's what happened. I found out my family member was attacked and assaulted the previous night, so I went to help her. We were in the entryway when the attacker came back. So I did, what anyone would do. I positioned myself between them. I wanted to de-escalate the situation, get him out of there, and keep her safe. This guy was angry. He wouldn't listen. And when he tried to rush in to get past me, I kicked him back down the steps. So he ran away, and I ran to the truck to get my phone. I still remember looking in and seeing my daughter's face before I started dialing 911. That's when the attacker came back, and he was holding a metal pipe. So I threw my phone on the seat, and I grabbed my gun. I didn't have a choice. This guy is nuts, and he's gonna try to kill me and hurt my family. And seeing the gun didn't faze him. I drew on him, I yelled, "Stop or I'll shoot," but he ran straight at me. Look, I never thought this would happen to me. I never wanted to shoot someone. When the police showed up, things just went bad. I thought they were doing their job, but I was handcuffed and taken to the station. Within hours, despite my testimony and my family's, I was charged with first-degree murder.
So a little backstory on that incident. It, like I said, it occurred in 2019 in North Carolina. It was featured in January's issue, last January's issue of Concealed Carry magazine. This is how the USCCA started in 2003. It was just a publication. Tim was worried about he just became a father and was wanting to get in the gun space and learn more about it, and he started a magazine. And it's evolved since then into a training and organization primarily, and with the self-defense liability insurance. So a little backstory on the Brian story. He was actually helping his ex-wife after she was attacked. His ex-wife was dating that guy who was the attacker. They were hanging out one night, they started drinking, an argument ensued, and he attacked her to the point she became unconscious. They had a good relationship in common. They had that 8-year-old daughter together. So she called him to figure out what to do. Call the police, report it, all that stuff. So that's how that incident unfolded. And what we don't want the members to do is do what Brian did. He did not call the critical response team. He thought it was cut and dry self-defense, and he omitted some things to the detectives, which got him charged. What the video didn't say was it was North Carolina, capital murder state, to where he was facing the death penalty, and with a charge like that, no bond. He sat in jail for 111 days before the charges were dropped and he got his freedom back. During those 111 days, he racked up $68,000 worth of attorney fees. Good attorneys aren't cheap. What's nice about the USCCA is you can use a network attorney or you can use any attorney you want. What I tell people is, if an attorney's work, you hire somebody and they're not doing your job, you can fire them and hire somebody else. But it's absolutely important that you identify one, and if you don't, you don't want to call jungle law to defend yourself. You know what I mean? You want somebody that does that for a living and is not a divorce attorney or a Me Too attorney, all that stuff. So, anyways, that's a lot of information I just covered. Before I talk about memberships, do I have any questions? Yes.
You said identify one. Just having the number is identification, or do I actually have to know this gentleman and say, okay, now I have this number?
Well, when you get access to Protector Academy, you can search by your state and your city, and it'll identify who the network attorneys are.
Okay.
That way, if you do want to interview them, or I'm sure Brandon's going to talk more about picking out an attorney. But that way, for most people, like I said, when I was let me put it this way: when I was an officer, and I didn't do this a whole lot, but I would arrest people for DUI. And part of that, you have to take them to the station, do the breathalyzer, all that stuff. But you're also supposed to give them 20 minutes to let them call an attorney. And 9 times out of 10, well, back then it was a phone book, and that's what they got to go on. And so, like I said, most people don't think anything's ever going to happen to them. And so it's really important that you go out and you find an attorney that'll represent you. And if you don't, the USCCA has done it for you. They've put people together for you. So, any other questions at this point? Yes.
No. When you mentioned before about the shooting and your Kansas City, Missouri police officer?
I was, yes.
Okay. And that they would, if you had to defend yourself, they would confiscate your gun? You would not get the firearm back?
If detectives went to a scene where seriously, you used a firearm to defend yourself and you hurt somebody or you killed somebody, yes, the crime scene technicians are going to recover that firearm. It's going to go to the crime lab, it's going to be test fired, and it's going to be kept indefinitely.
Well, I'm saying that, so there's no resolution. I mean, the circumstance is such that it's presumed that you did a criminal act, so they can basically keep this indefinitely.
Yes.
What's the procedure that justifies that?
I don't know the law or what it is, what the law is, but here's something I can tell you. Go ahead,
The only way you're gonna really get that firearm back is if you go through the court system and you're found not guilty, you're exonerated. You have to get a court order from the judge to release that evidence back to you. If not, the judge can sign an order and that gun goes into a chipper and is destroyed. We used to destroy guns every year. We take them to a facility and they go into what looks like a giant wood chipper and it spews out metal. That's just what the law says. Like he said, if you're not charged, they don't want to charge you right now. They don't think they have enough physical evidence. They hold that firearm as evidence until that case is ever adjudicated. If it's never done, it stays in evidence for eternity. That's their justification. They hold on to it because you may be charged down the road in the future. I like to tell people, if you're involved in a self-defense incident in your home and you use a firearm, do not put it back in your gun safe. You've now given the authorities legal access to every firearm in your gun safe. Even if you point it, that gun right there is what I shot him with, they're taking them all as evidence. Because they can. And they're going to test every one of them to verify that it was not the weapon used to take that person's life. And they will stay in evidence until that case is adjudicated. I've been there and done that. Didn't feel good about it, but the law says I can, so we did.
This is why you want to come on Saturday with Brian Holmes, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
And if it sees the USCCA pays for a new one up to 10 grand, you said?
Yeah, that 10 grand to
So you can get an upgrade.
I'll tell you another thing, and I don't agree with it, but when I worked in property and evidence, let's say you get pulled over, you got a warrant, and you got a gun in the car. Well, those officers can't leave that gun in the car when it goes to tow lot, because it could get stolen or whatever else. They need to secure it. And this could be for a DUI or whatever incident. The officers will recover it. That firearm will go to the crime lab and will be test fired, whether it's been involved in a crime or not. We had some people complain, and rightfully so, because like I said, I don't think it's right. They were coming from Cabela's, had bought a firearm, got pulled over, went to jail. That brand new firearm gets test fired. And there's a whole database of ballistics that is retrieved to see if it's been used, linked in a crime, or it's in that database in case a crime happens in the future. So that's the reality. I don't know about any other agency, but I know Kansas City does that. Yes, sir.
My son's a police officer. I'm just curious, the longer you talk, are there, two questions, are there police officers who are also members of USCCA?
USCCA, yeah, there are, but let me
Okay, go ahead.
let me qualify that. An officer that's involved in a duty-related incident is not covered by the USCCA. If I were ever involved in an incident, I was covered because I was a member of the Fraternal Order of Police.
That was my next question. Do those police officers carry your insurance?
They can, but it can't be used for an
So
on-duty
it doesn't
thing.
go to any good.
Right.
I'm just curious,
Yeah.
curiosity question.
Yeah, sure. It's a good question. Yes, sir.
Can you go more into detail on the incidental coverage that you mentioned earlier?
The incidental coverage.
So let's say you're involved in a shooting in your car.
Uh-huh.
Would they pay for that rental while that case is being adjudicated?
That $10,000 can be used for the cleanup in that. I don't know if it would pay for a rental car if. That's kind of in the weeds. I don't know that it would do that. Maybe your homeowner's insurance would do that, or your car
Your
insurance
motor
would do
vehicle
that.
insurance might, if you have rental coverage
Yeah.
and your vehicle's taken as evidence, you might be able to get a rental through your car insurance.
Right. Any other questions? Okay, now I'm going to talk about what membership is. There's 3 levels of membership with USCCA. Every level has the exact same access to the self-defense liability insurance. That's not what you pay for in the different levels. What you do pay for is how much access to the Protector Academy you get. The gold gives you access to the qualification level 1. The platinum is qualification 1 and 2, and elite is 1, 2, and 3. In your book is a USCC membership application, and on the back it shows what those 3 different levels are. When I talk to CCW classes for people that are new in the space, that are learning about this lifestyle, I always recommend the Elite package because it's full access to all the training and education through the Protector Academy. Of the 200 lessons, the 80 guides, the 3 qualifications, all that stuff. What I do, what's nice about the USCCA, and this is what I tell the students, is you're never locked in a level. So I always encourage them to go Elite, get that training and education, get that confidence in your decision making, in your ability to carry a firearm, and all that stuff. And then once you're confident, move down to the gold and save some money. On the front of that application, you can see there's a, they provide a 10% discount for military active and former and first responders, and that's police, fire, EMS. They also allow you to add a spouse to the membership for 50% off. When you are a member, your family is covered at the household. Meaning, if you're a member, your spouse, if they act in self-defense within the household or in the yard, they are covered under the self-defense liability policy for a covered incident. That does not take place if they leave the property and go to Walmart, Target, wherever, if something were to happen. So you can always add them if they're in the space, or you want them to learn about this lifestyle or learn about what it means to own a firearm. It's just a good way to get them involved in the space. When you join the USCCA, and I'll be frank with you, I would love to sign you guys up today, and I'm going to tell you how to do that risk-free for a whole year. I'll get to that here in a second. But when you join, there's no, you get benefits right away. There's no underwriting. It's not like car insurance to where they want to know how good of a driver you are. They don't care. You just become a member. The second thing is, if you sign up with me today at the bullet hole, they offer a free gift for the platinum and elite levels. This is an ammo can, and I wish I could say it was full of ammo, but it is not. Inside of it is a couple swag things, USCCA hat, Born to Protect patch. Patches are big in the firearms space. There's a Glock 19 training pistol. That way, when you go through the Protector Academy, you've got something you can use that's way safer than an unloaded firearm, because accidents do happen. With this, you could practice things you can't do in a typical range. Most ranges will not let you draw from a holster. So you can practice at home with your carry holster or in your purse or wherever you carry. You have access to that. It's way safer. And I like to also mention that on a range you can't practice like staircases. Something to think about. If you got a staircase at home and something were to happen, how do you walk up the stairs with it? All that stuff. So you just different stuff you can practice. You also get 10 drills to improve your shooting skills. That way when you do go to the range, you can practice skills that are self-defense skills and not marksmanship skills. You're not trying to get bullseye every time. You're trying to stop the threat. And what's the most damaging type of shot you can do to stop the threat? On the back, if that's bullseye and your little left, up, down, whatever, it's going to tell you what you're doing with your trigger grip, all that stuff, how to improve that. And you could also keep track of the day you went to the range and the progress you made. That goes back to the training resume. That way, if something were to ever happen, your attorney has something that would be like, this person took it serious. There's also a pretend bullet. It's a USB drive that you can unscrew, and it's the digital version of that book. And then every member, regardless of what level they get a temporary membership card. On the back of it is the post-incident instructions with the crisis response team number, and your membership comes to you in the mail within a week to 10 days. And every person who signs up, they automatically will have a email in their inbox welcoming them to the USCCA and how to access the training academy And what's also nice about that is the USCCA has your email. And they're going to email you and prompt you to train. They're going to send you a drill of the month every month. And what's nice about that is just like trying to lose weight in the new year. It's a lot easier when you have a personal trainer, somebody to push you. And that's kind of what the email is doing. It's like, hey, you need to train, you need to train. And just send you different things like that. And so the last thing to tell you about USCCA membership is on the front of that membership application, the second line down, and this is how I was talking about risk-free. Second line down, 100% risk-free, 365-day money-back guarantee. You will see there's no asterisk next to that. What that means is you could join today, give it a test drive, get in the Protector Academy, see what it's about, see if this lifestyle's for you, and you can call the USCCA 364 days later, or 2 weeks later, or a month, whatever you want, and you can say, can I have my money back? And they will give it every penny back to you. I know no other company that does that. You get self-defense liability insurance free for a year if you want. You get access to all that training free if you want. They do that because they want to protect its membership. They want you to not take it home and think about it, because 99% of the time it doesn't happen. People don't sign up. And this just allows you to give it a shot and be like, well, if I don't like it, I can get my money back. So be able to do that. Yes, ma'am.
If you decide later, if you become more involved in this and want to join again, does that nullify your chances to join again if you...
It's only good for 1 year, the first year you join.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
I think she's asking if she gets a refund, can she come back?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You come back, you just don't get that year again.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, they want, and again, they want Americans to be responsibly armed, and they want to raise the level of training that you get. So, any questions? I was on a American Gun Facts website, and I found out the average response time for a police in America to come to a scene is 18 minutes. Wow. Wow. That's not necessarily this city, but that's just the average in America. And right now there are more gun owners than there ever have been in America. More people, or people that have said, I will never own a gun. There's more people now that own a gun. And there's more people that want the training. And so that's why the USCC has blown up over the last couple of years through the unrest, through the leaving of police officers, because there's less of them out there. And they're minutes away when you need to be seconds away. And it's your responsibility to take care of yourself and protect your family.
Just curious, in our group, we have, most everybody has life training, or life-saving training also. So if in the event we do nearly take someone's life, but we also are our trouble lessened if we work to now save that person's life?
Are you what?
Is our trouble with the law lessened if we're trying to save that person's life after we stop the attack?
I'm going to leave that up to the expert. I think what he's saying is if you defend yourself and you seriously hurt somebody, and then you give them first aid,
CPR.
So
first aid.
you become a good Samaritan and try to fix the
You
problem.
shoot them, but you save them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there
You plug the hole.
liability for that?
Oh, I mean, are you asking if it would cause you less legal problems down the road?
Yeah.
First of all, I think it would be a hell of a good point to point out to any fact finder that you tried to save the person. But it also, I mean, obviously, if you shoot somebody and kill them and they decide to, you know what, why not, are you about done? You want me to jump in here? All right. No, I appreciate Greg telling y'all that he's a salesman. I mean, he's telling you, hey, I want you to sign up. I hope that you get signed up. I want you to leave here signed up on this program. I could care less if you sign up. I am not a salesperson. I'm not making any money to be here. I don't get, Greg's not cutting me back a 20 for every one of you guys that sign up or anything. Well, maybe. We haven't talked about that yet. I don't know. No, I could give, I don't care if you sign up, okay? The only reason I'm here, well, for two reasons, really. One, Greg came into my office, and he seems like a pretty nice guy who's an entrepreneurial guy, and I kind of appreciate somebody trying to switch fields, going from law enforcement to doing this kind of stuff. I appreciate that, so I figured I'd help him out. And then also, I've been through this, all of this. I've got the call from the critical response team. I've defended people under this policy. You know, Greg's he's sales. He's part of his job is selling you on this stuff. So I kind of look at it like, you know, he's like the Corvette salesman. You know, you can talk to the guy, and he can tell you how great the Corvette is. I drive the Corvette every day. You know, you can ask me, hey, how's it? I'm the guy working on the Corvette. You can ask me, hey, is it a good ride? Is it something I should do? I'm not making a penny off sitting here talking to y'all. But I said, I think I have had experience in this. I have seen it through all the way through from start to finish, defending somebody on one of these things. So I have kind of a unique perspective. And then, you know, the second reason is this USCCA, they straight take care of their folks. And the people that have the policies that ended up getting coverage on it, that have an accident, it's second to none. And that's why I'm here also, because I have made money from USCCA, but I don't work for them, and I don't have any stake in you signing up. But I do think that I bring kind of a unique perspective of, you know, I'm not the guy selling you the Corvette, I'm the guy who's working on it and driving it every day. So I figure, you know, they gave me this agenda to talk about, or Greg did, and I can talk about, you know, some of that, but I figure there's probably quite a few questions. So I'll try to save more of the time that we got here tonight to answer some questions. Is that cool with everybody? Yeah. All right. So one of the things that they asked me to talk about is what happens when you, whenever you shoot somebody, or you pull your firearm out to save somebody's life, yourself, your family, your friends. We had this joke here when I came in here. I saw this book. It says, "Should I shoot?" And I thought, we kind of laughed about it, and I was like, okay, so guy breaks in your house, you're going to go, oh, shit. Grab this book, you know, chapter 6. Oh, damn, he's got my TV. Oh, he's got my wife. What should I do? I mean, you're not going to have that much time, guys. Just like he said, you're going to have a second. You're going to have a second and a half to decide, is this a situation in which I need to protect myself? That's a tough call no matter how much training you do, no matter what situation you're in. So you're going to, you know, you need to think about that before it happens, okay? And then the ramifications of it after it happens. After you pull your firearm out and shoot somebody or discharging it to thwart an attack, what are you going to do? Who are you going to call? What are you going to say? That's kind of what I came here to tell you, okay? And it's not going to take very long because you should shut up. I mean, that card they give you, you should follow the directions on that card. You know, a lot of people think, okay, well, law enforcement, they're going to sort it out. You know, so if I use my firearm, I shoot somebody, well, I didn't do anything wrong. They're going to come out. They're going to, you know, sort it out, and I'll be fine, right? Why do you even need this stuff? Why do you need this? Well, that doesn't happen. I mean, it happens every once in a while, but in reality, they're way more likely to arrest you, book you, and say, there's a whole judicial system designed to see if this person should be in trouble or not. Okay, you know, there's a whole court system to say whether this person should be in trouble or not. It's not me, patrol officer or detective on the scenes, called to say whether you get to go home that night or not. Okay, you might get to go home, but you might be just like that guy in the video for 111 days. You're gonna lose your job, you're gonna lose your house, got a girlfriend, see you later. Yeah, I mean, just because you might end up getting out of it down the road, you're taking a lot of big ifs that impact your entire life. Try plucking yourself out of here and not going home and going and sitting somewhere for 111 days. How do you think that's going to go? It's not going to go well. Maybe some of you retired guys or people that really have a girlfriend or a wife they want to get away from, maybe, but it's not going to go well for 99% of us, including me. So what do? You know, you discharge this firearm. At least you've got a plan. If you got USCCA, you got a plan. You know what to do. they're going to, I mean, I'll tell you based on my experience what happened. But before I do that, let me give you an example. For the people who think, oh, Johnson County District Court or Wyandotte County District Court or Jackson County or Clay County, whatever, is going to sort it out for me. They're going to do the right thing, and I'll go home that night after I shoot somebody. I'm going to tell you a story about a guy. His name is Mr. Seymour. It's a guy I represented a while back, and he wasn't a USCCA member, but I think this illustrates the point pretty good. So Mr. Seymour was selling a firearm back when you could sell firearms on Facebook. You guys remember that? Before they shut it down, it was like the best place to get guns. But he put a gun on it for sale, and a guy called him, said, hey, or messaged him back, said, yeah, let's meet at the local Walmart. Meet at the local Walmart out in Bonner Springs. And believe it or not, I've actually bought a gun in that parking lot in that same exact situation. So when Mr. Seymour came in, I was like, dude, I identify with you. So he goes there, he parks his car, guy says, I'm in a red Toyota or whatever, pulls up next to him. It's Mr. Seymour sitting by himself with his 9mm, and it's two guys in a car that pull up next to him. One guy gets out of the passenger seat, walks over and says, hey, you Mr. Seymour? Yeah, hey man, how's it going? Well, have a sit down, I'd like to look at this gun. They sit there, they look through the firearm. And so the guy hands it, or Mr. Seymour hands it to him, he's checking it out, just like everybody does when they buy a firearm, check and make sure it's in good condition. And Mr. Seymour gets a call from his wife. Says, let me pick this up. Guy picks his phone up. Guy gets out of the car, takes off running with his gun. Mr. Seymour, he's like, shit, I just got robbed. He looks over at the guy that drove up with this person who just stole this firearm. And he thinks, okay, I just got robbed. This he drove him up here. The guy who just robbed me, he's in on it. So, and this guy in the car starts to get out. So Mr. Seymour gets out of his car. And if you ever sold a gun, you don't sell your only gun. You go with another gun. If anyone was thinking about doing that, don't do that. So he pulls his gun out, points it at the guy. He says, get on the ground. I'm sure he said it a little bit more, maybe not as polite as that. Get on the ground. He picks up the phone, holds the guy, gets him on his knees, holds him, calls the cops. Bonner Springs runs out there to the thing. They talk to my client. They talk to the other guy. Now, bear in mind, this guy that he's got the firearm on says, I would have done the exact same thing. I was with that guy. I don't even really know him. He just asked me for a ride. I didn't have any idea what was going on. I didn't tell you this, but this guy, the one that was with the person who robbed my client, he was on bond for armed robbery. So Mr. Seymour, so they take Mr. Seymour's gun. They go actually find the guy who robbed him. They find the guy who took his gun. They arrest him. And then Mr. Seymour goes home that night, calls me, says, because I'm friends with his brother, tells me what's going on. I said, man, you should be fine. Don't worry about it. You didn't do anything wrong. You did exactly what anyone would do. 2 weeks later, he gets arrested. Ag assault with a deadly weapon. He is actually charged with a more serious crime than the guy who robbed him. So they have the court date on the same day. They both are in the same courtroom on the same day, the guy who stole his gun. He's charged with theft of a firearm felony. Mr. Seymour is charged with ag assault with a deadly weapon. Okay? The guy who even the person he pulled the gun on was saying, I would have done the exact same thing. Would have done the exact same thing. So if you think, now, Mr. Seymour had to pay me thousands of dollars and sell one of his cars, and I mean, we ended up getting the case dismissed 6 months later, and he had to spend he had a $40,000 bond in Wyandotte County. He had to pay $4,000 to get out of jail. So if you think that, oh wait, they're going to sort it out and I'm going to be just fine, think again, okay? It cost Mr. Seymour over $10,000 between bonding me and hiring me to get him out and get this all sorted out. So this is, now, I'll juxtapose that with another guy, a USCCA guy. So I'm sitting in my house one day. I get a call. I've actually taken my oldest daughter for a walk. I get a call. This is USCCA Critical Response Team. This is the first time I ever got a call from them. So I'm picking up what's going on. They said, hey, we got this guy. This is what happened. This guy also in Wyandotte County. Now my client, his his name is William, I'll call him William. He was not a man of means, we'll say. He made about $19,000 a year. So he didn't have a lot of money, but he went to one of these classes, he saw one of these insurance policies, and he bought it. Because he thought, I live in Wyandotte County, don't live in the best area of town, there's a chance that and he's an older gentleman, he was in his 70s, and he thought, you know, this might be a good idea. He bought the policy, never thought a single thing of it. In his case, he had somebody's phone that was ringing in the middle of this presentation. Shot. No. So William, he had bought this insurance policy and didn't think anything of it because he lived in a bad part of town. He lived by himself. After he bought the policy, he had met his brother. His brother came back into the town, and he had his wife with him. And his wife was, let's just say, a robust lady. She was a big gal, wasn't the friendliest gal. And she attacked him one day. And over whatever nonsense, I'm not going to get too much into the details of it. She attacked him one day. He had a little .410 shotgun, single shot. He picked it up and shot it in his own house over her head because she was, no other way of saying it, kicking his ass, okay? Just to brush her back. Not the safest way, not the smartest way, probably not even that's not what you should be doing, but he goes, cops come out to his house, he gets arrested, ag assault with a deadly weapon, criminal damage, charged 4 or 5 different felonies. They take his gun. He gets stuck on a $50,000 bond in Wyandotte County. Okay, but before he does, he calls USCCA and talks to the critical response team. They call me. They say, "Hey, this is what's going on. Can you go do anything?" I said, "Sure, of course I can." Walked my kid back home, got in the car, went down, got a hold of a bondsman, and I couldn't get a hold of a bondsman right then. Everybody was like, time I got the info from the critical response team and then got my stuff situated to go out and visit him, couldn't get a hold of a bondsman that wanted to go to Wyandotte County. There's not a lot of bondsmen. There's only a few approved bondsmen in Wyandotte County. So what I did is call the Johnson County bondsman and said, "Hey, what's your normal rate?" And he's like, "Well, we do 10%. And I said, "How about you make it 15% if you'll get out of your house right now and drive down and bond this guy out?" Called the USCCA, cut him a check, and they cut me a check directly, and I paid him. And that guy if somebody makes $19,000 a year, they're never bonding out on a $50,000 bond. You know what I'm saying? Unless they got some friends or family that are going to really pony up for him. He bonds out. We start working on his case. It took over almost 2 years working on his case. We had to get it set up. And the great thing about USCCA was, so everybody, whether people want to say it or not, finances help you get justice. Everybody, if you've got money, you're going to be able to get the best experts. You're going to be able to get the best lawyers. You're going to be able to, do the things that the public defender doesn't have time to do. And if you're making $19,000 a year, you're getting stuck with the public defender 100 out of 100 times. USCCA, the good thing about it, well, does anybody work for an insurance company? Okay, so what kind of insurance company do you work for? Okay. Anybody work for a car insurance company? No? Okay. So insurance companies, people think that you're in good hands or you're like a good neighbor or whatever other stupid shit that they say. Well, the reality of it is insurance companies want to make money. Okay, so they're going to, if something happens, like you get in a car accident, all right? You get in a car accident, and your insurance company is going to hire a lawyer that charges $150 an hour, and they're going to work through your case and try to pay the person the littlest amount of money possible. Insurance companies just suck. From the law side of it, the lawyer side of it, nobody wants to work for an insurance company. You kind of do insurance company work if you have to, okay? It pays the bills for some for small companies. We don't do it. But they nickel and dime you. Like, well, do you really need to hire that expert? Do you really have to go do a deposition in Florida? You can't have the guy fly up here. Do you really need to go talk to that witness? Did you really have to write that motion? Because they want to nickel and dime the defense down. So the insurance company makes more money, right? USCCA, I called them and said I need $30,000. She said, we'll have it here tomorrow. Overnight it. No problem. Okay, awesome, great. Back then, I charged $450 an hour to defend people. I had to hire a ballistics expert to come in.
Do you have a gun?
On me, no.
No. Do you charge that much? Do you?
I do have guns, but not on me. You know? But that's just what it takes to hire the best lawyers. Okay. I mean, I can tell you how great of a lawyer I am, or tell you all the awards I've won, or the cases I've been on. I'll do that if you want me to. Yeah, it's not really worth it. Okay, I'll just tell you. I mean, it's just like anything you do. There's tiers of everything. You know, whether you're the best plumber, or you're the guy, or you're the best carpenter, or you're the best lawyer, or whatever. I'll tell you this: if you had, no one ever goes to the cheapest cardiac surgeon. You know why? No one never goes to the doctor and says, "Oh, you're a cancer doctor. Are you the cheapest?" No, because nobody gives a shit. They want the best, and the best charges you all the money. Okay, so you have to look at it like that when you're looking at defense. So when you're evaluating whether you're going to sign up for this, and again, this sounds kind of like a sales pitch, but I do not care if you signed up for it. What you need to be doing is decide: do you want to get stuck with a lawyer that you had to pick, or do you want to just pick any lawyer you want? Do you want to get stuck with the lawyer that has 150 cases because of the public defender and they have to take every single case that comes in? Or do you want to get the lawyer who can drop everything and go bond you out of jail right then? I mean, or who's going to be able to treat you, talk to you, and explain things to you all the time with any information that you need and be communicative. I mean, that's just what that's what you're buying when you buy this stuff. It is by far the best insurance company I've ever dealt with. Just no questions asked. You call up the lady, this is what I need, no problem, Brandon. Not even hold on just one second. I mean, I've had to hire a ballistics expert, and I interviewed on this case that USCCA covered out in Wyandotte County, to explain the trajectory of this bullet. It's a bunch of CSI shit that you see on TV, right? It was tens of thousands of dollars. And I said, they said, who do you want? I said, the best guy's in Georgia. They didn't say, well, do you got a guy in Kansas? Do you got a guy in Missouri? You got somebody they said, how much is it going to cost? I said, it's going to be 20 grand or whatever the number was. We'll have a check overnight to you tomorrow. That's the kind of defense that if you shoot somebody, we're not talking a DUI, folks. We're not talking a speeding ticket. We're not talking a theft charge from Walmart. All that stuff, you can hire the $150 an hour lawyer to get if you want to. We're talking about shooting someone and possibly killing them. That's never a misdemeanor. That's never not a big deal. It is, if it goes south for you, you spend a significant time. It changes the trajectory of your entire life. I mean, that's when the rubber hits the road, you want the coverage that you're not going to have to be counting your pennies. You're not going to have to be borrowing money from your grandma or selling your house or mortgaging whatever. That's what this is for. And you may never use it. Like, if you notice, I didn't give you out my business card. I wasn't handing out I didn't come here to market myself or what. I don't need to. I don't care. I'm just I'm not sitting here telling you, hey, get your wallet out and write my name down. You get to pick whatever lawyer you go out. If something like this happens to you, I hope I never hear from a single one of you. That's what I tell everybody whenever after their case is over. I say, hope to never talk to you again. Right? Because you're never calling me on a good day. It kind of sucks. Nobody ever calls me and is like, hey, Brandon, man, this is great. Day's great. I just got this going on. And it just never happens. It's always, oh shit, this is the worst day of my life. How can you help me? Okay? All right, so let me jump back. I kind of went off on a tangent here. Point number 1, how long do you guys want to stay here tonight? So, need for documentation, training, and education. Okay? This program is training you. It's teaching you. I mean, it's going to, being on the range, learning these type of things. You don't think if you ever shoot somebody and you're testifying And one of the first questions I'm going to ask you is, tell me about your firearm training. Right? It's important to go through this stuff. And I'm not saying do it so that if you shoot somebody down the road, you'll be covered and I'll be able to ask you that question and talk. It's worthwhile. I mean, it's worthwhile to learn how to operate a firearm and what situations you should use it, and it's worthwhile to learn that. But it also adds value down the road if you ever need it. What else we got? I'm trying to say sometimes for questions, need to remain silent, attorney present on question for law enforcement. Read the card, folks. Just if something happens, you're going to read the card. Don't now when people think that like the cops are law enforcement is like their friend. They're going to tell them what happened and they're going to be able to sort through it. Shut up, okay? The cops aren't out there to find out that you didn't do something wrong. Their job isn't to go and let people free. I mean, their job is to go out and investigate crimes and arrest people they think that there's probable cause that a crime has been committed, all right? So just keep it exactly what the card says and at that. They're still going to arrest you. They still might arrest you. Nothing you say is they're going to talk your way out of shooting somebody, okay? If they're going to arrest you, they're going to arrest you. Keep it to what the card says. Monetary cost of obtaining an attorney, I already went over that. It's god-awful expensive. You ever find yourself in a situation like this, this is when you go get a HELOC on your house. I mean, I don't know how many times I've told somebody, would you rather have a 401k or you can have a great 401k in prison. Now's the time to probably go get a big chunk of it and give it to me, all right? I'd rather you not do that. I'd rather USCCA pay for it, but it's a lot easier. And then my experience working as a lawyer for, so I don't work for USCCA. I work for the people that have the insurance sometimes. It's bar none. It really is the Cadillac of, I've never seen anything like it. As far as insurance companies, it is the Cadillac of insurance companies. They just pay. There's no bullshit, no hassle, no can you cut a corner here, because they know, like, I'm kind of hard on insurance companies. Insurance companies, get your car accident, you get a car accident, the worst thing that's going to happen is it's money involved, okay? There's one finite resource in the world, and that's time. You cannot make more time, right? You can always make more money. You can't make more time. When you shoot somebody, you are possibly losing time, a big chunk of it, of your life. So that's why it's super important that that's why they don't nickel and dime it, because if you nickel and dime a car insurance case, the worst case scenario, the insurance company puts another zero on the check that they write the person. You nickel and dime a criminal defense case, person spends years extra in jail, okay? An endorsement of USCCA, I don't think I need to give you an endorsement of USCCA. Like I said, I'm not making anything to do this. I'm just telling you, as a person who's been through it, who's seen a guy who could have never in a million years afforded me to help him with his case, who would have almost certainly, what happens? What happens to people who can't afford a good criminal defense lawyer is they plea, okay? They sit in jail. You shoot somebody tomorrow, okay? And you get arrested, and your bond is $250,000. You can't make it. And you've never been to jail a day in your life, okay? And you sit in jail, and your family's suffering. Your wife doesn't work. You're the primary income holder. Your kids are you're gone. Then 6 months go by, 12 months go by. You're still sitting in jail because you can't swing the money. The lawyer that you get appointed to you he doesn't care. He's not financially incentivized to care about your case. What does that person do? They say, hey, you shot somebody but you didn't kill him. You're charged with ag assault with deadly. You're charged with ag battery. I can get you out. If you plead guilty to it, you can get on probation right now. Well, if you're sitting in jail, something you would never do in a million years, you wouldn't, like I ask any one of you, we're just out having a drink at a bar, I said, would you ever admit to a crime that you didn't commit? 100 out of 100 of you will say, no, I would never do that. Wait till you've been in jail for 6 months. And your wife, your house is, you're losing your house because you can't make the mortgage payments because you're sitting in jail. Then you start thinking about, not about you, but about your family. And then if all you have to do is say you're guilty of something, if you'll get out of jail, people do it. If you get this stuff, that doesn't happen to you. You're not ever having to make that decision on whether, you have to make a tough call and say you did something you didn't do. Okay? So my endorsement of USCCA, and I unqualified say it's the best insurance I've ever seen. Okay? All right. Let's go with the blue shirt here first.
I had a question. How high are bonds typically in Kansas City, and have you ever seen expenses not be covered or exceed the limit of USCCA?
No. So bonds depends on what you're charged with, man.
Yeah.
And it depends on what jurisdiction you're in. So I would say 99% of my practice is in Johnson County. And the only cases that the only cases outside of that jurisdiction is, and let's just be frank, is because that's where most of the money is. Yeah. And I like to make money just like everybody else in this place. So I primarily practice in Johnson County. It varies widely depending on what you're charged with, your criminal history, your flight risk. I had a lady in the news yesterday charged for a crime. The bond was $175,000 before she hired me, and that first court appearance he got reduced to $15,000. So she was going to be stuck in jail and then got out. So it just depends. I mean, that's like it's a really hard question to answer.
Ever been more than like $1 million or $2 million or 3 or 10?
Well, they have to justify this. It has to be related to those factors I was talking to you about. What you're charged with, your criminal history, your past failures to appear. I have rarely seen a bond over $1 million. Wyandotte County shoots bonds up. I mean, you would think that bonds would be higher in Johnson County because house values are more. Wyandotte County will be almost twice the bond that you'll have in Johnson County on the same or similar offense.
So does the state line matter here?
On
If I'm in Missouri, I can hire.
You can hire whoever you want. You don't have to hire me. First of all, don't hire me. Don't shoot anybody. Okay, unless you have to. But no, you don't. I said this is not like a hey everybody get my number. Okay, my experience with USCCA is, you get to hire whoever you want. I know there's three lawyers that I know that do the same thing I do that are USCCA. Greg Watt and Chris Gigstad, both good friends, both great lawyers. But that'd probably be the question. I think you can do it however you want.
So it really is technical to you. Do you have to be licensed in Missouri to?
Oh yeah. So if you want to practice on both states, being a lawyer, you have to be licensed in each state you practice in. So yeah. And I'm only licensed in Kansas because I don't practice in Missouri.
You said there were. How many attorneys are kind of in the metro area that are involved with the USCCA? Do you know?
I don't know. It's probably a question better.
And then how does USCCA determine the pecking order?
Variability? I don't know. I know that. So I think it's whoever they picks up the phone fastest on the critical response team, but I'm not 100% sure.
That's why
it doesn't happen all the time, guys. Like this insurance is just that. It's insurance. It's in case shit happens. Okay, it's not like I'm getting calls on USCCA. Because most of the time, people that are in these classes and stuff take this stuff real serious. They're not just some idiot that picks up a gun, has never shot it before, and decides to shoot somebody. So you guys who get this stuff don't use it that often. Thank God.
Well, that's why I didn't know if it's worthwhile to go out and look for.
I get calls from
or do we then
members.
just determine that, hey, let USCCA handle it?
And I get calls probably once a month from one of the USCCA people just to say, hey, I just wanted to meet you and say if I ever need you, just talk to you for a few minutes. And I'll pick up and talk to those people for a few minutes. I don't want to waste a whole bunch of time with them because odds I'm ever going to need them, if they're ever going to need me. But the thing is you don't pick up the phone and call me. You call the critical response team, and if you don't, it's not like I pick up the phone on a critical response call. It's never happened, and somebody decides, they don't want to hire me down the road. I'm just there so at the moment you don't say something stupid or do something stupid or you get out of jail or I can kind of help, call people's work before and told them what's going on, So you don't have to end up with me, but I never had anybody not, I guess. Okay. Probably because I'm so beautiful, handsome.
And modest.
Honest. Go ahead, man.
So I know we should set up in a self-defense situation. Does your wife or friend have to speak to the police if something happens?
And control what somebody else does in the moment. If somebody, I mean, if you shoot somebody and your wife wants to tell them what happens, you're not going to stop that. I mean, I don't think you want to jump in front of her and put your hand in front of her mouth. You might implicate you. But that's a good. I mean, that's a good talk you should probably have with your family. I mean, in general, it sounds. I mean, I'm a criminal defense lawyer, so people think this is jaded. In general, though, it's best not to talk to the police almost in any situation. If you think there's 1/10 of 1%, you're in trouble. If anything in your head thinks I could get in trouble in here, you're best just to stay quiet. And the cops know that. I mean, they train. I mean, that's great. They train officers to extrapolate information from you, and they're not out there to prove you didn't do something wrong.
But they can't get in legal trouble for not.
So if you don't say, you have a constitutional right not to say a thing other than your name. That's the only thing that you have to identify yourself, depending on the situation. So you don't have to say or do anything, and that's always the best advice, because when you start talking, you're limiting what your defense can be. Okay. Let me get the guy in the plaid shirt behind you. I'm sorry, he had his hand up first, man. Come on.
You said the difference between the bond in Johnson and Wyandotte is about double, right?
Can be.
Is there a difference in how the legal system responds in that county versus this county?
Sure. Yeah. So there's a big difference. Are you asking me about the difference in the office? I mean, it's this difference between going to, McDonald's and Wendy's. Yeah, they're doing the same thing, but they're not. You might get a lot better product at one of them. I guess McDonald's and Wendy's might not be the best analogy, but let's say. Yeah. There you go. There we go. Yeah.
I meant like as far as their response to how the USCCA.
They never know. So like you're never going to say.
So it's not like you're going to announce to yourself, "Hey, I'm working for the USCCA."
No, they're never going to know that. Now I will say I've had people ask me. Because, I mean, it's a small legal community. I know most of the people that are on the other side of it. I have had people be like, this just doesn't add up because I know Brandan costs a lot of money, and I'm just looking at this person, there's no way they have enough money. I have had people ask me after the fact, like, how the hell did that happen? And I have said, well, this is how. But they won't ever know that. Any other questions? Wait. This guy right here. I'm gonna skip him. He's gonna get me afterwards. And he's got the same haircut as I do, so let's gotta stick together.
The coverage that they provide, does it only kick in if you discharge the weapon?
That's a good question for Greg. The experience I've had is whenever USCCA.
You brought up where it's aggravated assault because you pulled the weapon, but are you still covered by this at that point, or do you have to actually discharge it before it kicks in?
No. It'll cover you for that. If you brandish it, is that what you mean?
Right.
Yeah. But it has to be self-defense.
Right.
You can't shoot somebody. Like that's what one of the first questions they ask me is, because I can't disclose anything like you say, hey Brandan, I shot the guy. I can't disclose any of the information that they say to USCCA because USCCA isn't covered by attorney-client privilege. But what they'll do is basically ask me, was it in self-defense? And if I say it's in self-defense, 9 times out of 10 it's covered.
And I should say this too, it does not have to be a firearm. It can be any weapon that could be federally possessed, meaning it can't be a rocket grenade launcher type of thing. But it could be your fist, it could be a knife, it could be your car, it could be a pipe, anything.
What about these guns?
Yeah, these guns right here.
Hat in the back.
How big is your attorney network? I'm thinking in terms of if you're out of state.
You're asking the wrong person, man.
There's over 1,200.
1,200. Okay.
Yeah.
All 50 states?
Yes, and the insurance covers you in all 50 states and U.S. territories. Even though New York doesn't allow them, or whatever, you still have this insurance coverage.
Gotcha.
You had a question?
Don't solve. So you have a self-defense.
I'm kind of tough at hearing somebody used to wear my ears.
Yeah. If you have a self incident out of state, do you have to remain in that state while that trial is going on?
Oh, well, it depends. Depends on. I mean, if you shoot somebody or you commit any crime, like most of the time, no, unless they think you're going to flee. That's a judge. A judge has to make a determination on any crime, whether it's and says, hey, what your bond conditions are. They can say, yeah, you can leave the state, or no, you can't. But it's rare. It's rare for somebody to be stuck in the state. Like if you live in California, you come here and commit a crime, it's rare for them to say you can't leave.
That's what bond does. It guarantees your appearance in court. It's not punitive. It's not meant to keep you in jail. It's meant for you to guarantee your appearance.
It's just
Some
another way of
amounts
saying
seem
promise.
it. When $1 million is your bond, it seems punitive, like they want me to stay in jail forever, but they want to guarantee your appearance.
Yeah, to capitalize a little bit on reciprocity, which wasn't really touched upon other than the name reciprocity. When it comes to traveling out of state like Illinois, sorry if you're from Illinois, but Illinois sucks. If we go there, and then obviously their concealed carry laws are much different, but they don't reciprocity. Kansas concealed carry, and I kind of try and prep, and then some incident, God forbid, happens, and then how does that pertain to the lawyer assist if reciprocity is not honored in a different state? How does that?
Are you talking about so are you saying if you violated so say you had a concealed carry license here, or you didn't have one, and since you're in Kansas, it's not and then so you broke the law when you went into Illinois, accidentally basically, and then used your firearm. I don't know. See, that's a good question for him. I don't think that. I mean, I don't know if the predicate of you breaking the law would negate the insurance coverage. God, that's an in-depth question, my man. You probably have to read the policy. My gut tells me probably not, but don't go do it and then sue me.
My wife and I last fall went on a 18-day camping vacation from here to D.C., Baltimore. And we were advised that in every state you go to, you call the state highway patrol.
Yep.
Each one and ask them what their gun laws are for that state.
I'll do you one
Because
better.
we carried a gun in our car, but it was hidden in one of these flip-up pockets you can't see easily in the back of it, And that was the advice, and we took it. And it paid off. We still carried the gun, didn't make any difference. But we listened to
USCCA
them
has a
also.
reciprocity app.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And it'll notify you when you cross state lines that you just crossed state lines and here's what the law is.
That's cool.
They also have another app, the Protector Academy, that you can do on your phone or your tablet or your laptop, whatever, that you could train. If you're in the DMV for 2 hours, you could watch the videos right there on your phone.
That's actually pretty slick. That'd save the whole situation. Hat back there.
Might be an irritating question, but you said earlier that there was, let him go first.
Oh, no, go ahead. You're right.
That all insurance companies are the same. They try to get off as inexpensively as possible what they stay covered with. And then when you say you get charged $4.50 an hour, so does that mean that the insurance with USCCA does the same things you said about all insurance companies? That is, when they refer someone to a $250 an hour attorney for the defense of someone.
I don't even think they know.
Versus a $4.50.
USCCA never asked me how much money I charge an hour. No, I don't think they even know. They don't. I don't think that they. I don't recall them ever even asking me how much money I charged an hour. It was more about my qualifications. So I don't think they wouldn't know to do that anyways. Yeah. Go. Oh wait, he had a question back there with the very well answered.
I think this is going to be a silly question, but the whole concealed carry thing, I'm good with that. But if you're going to go across state lines and stuff, isn't it legal in this country? Why don't you just throw it out on the seat or up on the dashboard? I mean, you don't have, and unless.
See, have you been to New
unless
York or
as long as it's not concealed, it's not illegal. Other than there's a couple states that's not true.
Depends on the type of gun too. You have magazine restrictions. You go to California. What's like we live in Kansas, which God bless them, they're really, really one of the best states to live in as far as guns. But you get to some of these other states, they're able to regulate magazines. They're able to regulate all kinds of different things.
I know they can, but you're a lawyer. That's why I'm asking you. Most places, as long as you don't conceal it.
Oh, I'm with you. I think you should be able to have any gun you want at any time.
If you got a legal gun and you don't conceal, and the reason I say this is because I grew up around this kind of stuff, and we worked in a pretty rough area and stuff, and when it was time that we needed to carry a weapon around, we just threw it up on a dashboard, and you know what?
But that's it.
What I'll say is time to
No, it
change.
wasn't in
man.
Kansas. It was in
Did anybody else have any questions?
St. Louis, and it was in the city.
If
And
we call the
you know,
crisis
I
line, is
mean-
that call recorded and is it privileged, like attorney
I
privilege?
highly doubt it's recorded. It would, because just for that reason. You had a question too?
Yeah, probably more for him, but is the coverage only in the continental states or protected by Puerto Rico?
Man. Anybody?
You got a good recommendation for someone in Missouri?
The Second Amendment and shall not be infringed. That they
From USCCA.
I only go to Missouri to watch the Chiefs and watch the Royals. I stay the hell. I'm from Missouri, so I get the hell out of there. No, one of the other USCCA lawyers is Greg Watt, great dude. And he's a former Jackson County prosecutor, one of my good buddies. If you ever get in trouble or need anything, you call him.
And he'd be the kind of guy that
too.
Say what?
Does he work up there north where all we are at?
Up north, he's all yeah.
You said Greg Watt?
Yeah, Watt, good buddy of mine, great guy.
And he'd be okay with taking the kind of call you talk about, just touch base.
Oh yeah. Anybody else got any questions?
Yeah, can you speak to more of issues that some of your clients have had to deal with if they're in a self-defense shooting, the media or something?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, don't get a lawyer talking, man. They'll never shut up. As far as, I mean, that's one thing. Whenever time if you ever have any type of real bad trouble, just this last week, I had comments with 4 different news stations about one of my clients. Predicting what's going to be in the news and trying to combat that's a skill, but it's rare. I mean, it's hard to combat, especially because there's laws against it. There's rules for lawyers that can't, I can't get on there and be like, Jeff's a great dude. He's my best buddy. There's ethical rules against it. Everybody about ready to get out of here? Well, what lady back there? Let me get this lady.
I've had this burning inside me since we watched that video, and the guy was accused of murder. Okay, he definitely, by watching this, was defending himself and his daughter. So what were the elements that made it so that he was charged with murder? I know, but that was defense, and he was allowed to do that. Why was he charged?
Well, honey, remember you're watching a dramatic presentation of what the guy on the scene who shows up, he doesn't know what happened. I mean, if the officer on the scene is there to investigate, I mean, ask these guys. They don't get hell, this is a Steven Spielberg quality, rendering of what happened. They're just going off what limited information they have, and there's a process. I mean, there's a legal process through, like, say you shoot somebody here in Kansas, and you're accused of a crime. And they decide, the district attorney gets to make a call. Okay, hey, I think that there's probable cause that a person committed this crime. Hey, it's just a low standard. They don't have to know 100% that you're guilty before they can charge you with a crime. Then your lawyer steps in and files what they call an ultreus motion. It's basically, you guys have heard of stand your ground, right? Okay. Your lawyer files a motion with the court that says, hey, I think stand your ground law applies here. I think that my client had a right to defend himself. And then then you get to litigate that issue, or you get to have that issue in court before a judge, and then the judge gets to make the call. What you need to think about about crimes is nobody wants to be in the newspaper with something negative against them. No judge, no prosecutor wants to have something that says, we didn't charge this guy, and then there's half the people that think they did do it, and half the people think they didn't do it. So what they do is arrest them. It's way easier to put it on a judge. It's way easier to say, the judge dismissed the case. I charged the guy. Judge dismissed the case. That's how a lot of these people think about it. So there's a mechanism to assert that privilege, to say, I had the right to shoot this person, but it's already after you're in jail. It's already it's months into the thing. Does that make sense? They probably didn't have this, son,
To answer your question, he omitted some things that he should have said. Like I said, he didn't call the critical response. He didn't have a lawyer.
So how do you know what to say and what not to say wherever it is?
Well, you'll have the training through the Protector Academy that'll go through that of what you should say. And like he said, don't say anything.
Best thing is say nothing.
Say nothing.
I shot to stop the threat. I was in fear for my life. I want to talk to my attorney.
I want to talk to my attorney.
Do you think a lot of that is attributed to the conviction rates that these district attorneys are so bloodthirsty over?
Oh, I don't know about that. The conviction rates are actually down here in some of the counties. I don't know if, huh?
You know Steve Howe?
this is all being recorded. I don't think it's smart for me to say anything about Steve Allen. I'll say I was one of my good friends, Zach Thomas, ran for district attorney last, and I was a pretty good supporter of him. But I don't have any knocks on Steve. You know, this guy back here. Go ahead, man.
I'm aware of
A request and a question. Would you show them your socks and whose picture is that on there?
Oh, these. Oh gosh, these are my two girls. Which I said we can't stay very long, guys. I got to put these kids to bed. That's my oldest, and that's my youngest, Amelia and Caroline. There's. What, did somebody else have a question? You had.
I didn't, but I do now. Have you ever had to have a case with a church shooting incident where there was a security member that actually protected the church?
No, I have not. Thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Well, I will take a minute to say we offer church security training. And Brian goes out to the churches.
This lady's always salesman.
Security.
Go ahead.
I'm a preacher's daughter, so this is important.
I just read in the paper, Missouri's new proposition protecting gun owners and people who have shotguns.
I don't pay attention to the news unless one of my clients is in it, and I don't know anything about anything in Missouri other than I'm a Jayhawk.
For the people who use guns and shoot them into self-defense. And a lot of people don't think that's right in Missouri. It's a big issue.
No, really. Has anybody got any more questions?
I have one. No one else.
That's all right. Go ahead.
So, what percentage of defense cases involving a firearm would you say are shots fired versus we're just displaying or pointing but not shooting?
Oh man, I don't know.
AmericanGunFacts.com said that 31% of gun owners have used their firearm in self-defense. Of those 31%, 81% of the 31% have never fired a shot, ever.
So the overwhelming majority of the people who have used it sounds like.
Just displaying it solves the equation.
Yeah.
But that's far and few between.
Does anybody got anything else to want to know?
Remember, crime statistics are based off reported crime.
Right.
I point a gun at you and you never call the cops, it never happened. That's right. So just think of it that way.
Well, we got to save some time for Greg to sign you guys up on this stuff. So
I appreciate everybody being here. Like I told you at the beginning, I am here to sign people up or answer questions. You could just come see me. You don't have to fill out the membership. On my iPad, I just scan your ID and your form of payment. It takes 1.5 minutes, and you're a member. So, I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you.